Hi everyone, and welcome to session 2 of our summer school series, Surviving and Thriving in Secondary. I am Dr. Brittany McKeithen-Barnes, and today we're going to be talking about how to get everything done. Because as educators, we understand it's a lot. But before we go into that, let's do a quick recap like we would do with our students on what we learned last week. So last week we talked about classroom management systems, and it wasn't exhaustive, but what we did surmise is that when we are emotionally regulated, when we manage our offense, and when we manage our time effectively during our instructional delivery, our classrooms will flow much smoother. Today we're going to talk about how to manage time outside of that 45, 50, or 60, 90-minute window of instructional delivery. We're going to talk about instructional planning, how we manage our time in our meetings, and parent contact. Let's get into it. Okay, so we know in a traditional school setting, there are 5 days in a traditional school week, right? So the first consideration I want you to keep in mind is when your lesson plans are due. The second consideration I want you to keep in mind is when you have meetings, because you want to show up to your meetings prepared to contribute and engage. And thirdly, I want you to think about the expectation for parent contact so that you can determine whether you're going above and beyond or whether you're not doing enough. So when we talk about when your lesson plans are due, you want to think about planning backwards. So if your lesson plans, like mine, are due on a Wednesday, then that means on Monday and Tuesday, you are planning, okay? You might even use Wednesday, but Wednesday is pretty much going to be used for data analysis in preparation for Thursday's meeting. On Monday, you want to answer these 2 questions for the next week. What should students know and be able to do independently? And what instructional delivery methods do I intend to use to help students get there? So on Monday, on your lesson plan, you are filling in all of your SOL standards or whatever Common Core standards. You're filling in your standards because what should they know and be able to do according to the standard, right? And then you're asking yourself, what instructional delivery methods am I using? So am I using think, pair, share? Am I using gradual release? And you want to also keep all of your demographics in mind. So you want to think about students who have exceptionalities. You want to think about students who are twice exceptional, students who have disabilities and are gifted. You want to think about your high performers, your bubble students, and also your low performers, right? You want to think about the full scope of your classroom. You want to think about your multilingual learners. And that might feel like a lot, but if you spend Monday, 90 minutes or however long you have, if you spend Monday doing that, then you've done 75% of your lesson plan, right? For the week or for those 2 weeks. So then on Tuesday, for example, your Tuesday meeting is a collaborative planning meeting. Now you can answer questions 3 and 4 with your colleague. Question 3 is, how will I know students are learning the standard that I'm teaching them? And what will I do to either remediate them if they have not met the standard or enrich them if they have met or exceeded the goal? So you are collaborating with your colleague on that because we have a common formative assessment. So you can plan for what assessment are we giving and what is our remediation or enrichment plan so that we're both doing the same thing. We have different students. So I don't expect you to plan with them on Monday about instructional delivery methods. Yes, have the same standards. Your instructional delivery methods might change, but the common assessment should be the same, and how you remediate and enrich should be relatively similar. And you've now completed your lesson plan. You did 75% of it on Monday. You did the other 25 on Tuesday. So now by Wednesday, when your lesson plans are due, you are ready to submit them. You might deem Wednesdays as your common assessment days. That might be the day where both of you give your assessment to see how students are doing that week, right? Wednesday and Thursday-ish is when you plan to analyze your data. So you're looking at your data, you're looking at trends and patterns, you're looking at different student groups, item analysis, you're analyzing that data. Why are you doing that? Because on Thursday, you have a meeting, and that meeting is about data analysis. You are having to answer to your department chair or whoever else how students performed, what the assessment was, what the results and outcomes were, and what you plan to do about it. Fridays are reserved for progress reports for students and academic progress reports for students and parent contact. So this is when I primarily call parents. I spend about 30 to 45 minutes, half of my planning, calling parents, leaving messages, documenting that I called them, et cetera, et cetera. So that is how we get it all done. Share this with somebody, and I'll see you next week for week 3, session 3 of our summer school series, talking about teaching every student every day.